you know, me and Pinterest have had this positive relationship from the get-go. When I was just a mom looking up how to decorate my son's nursery and looking up recipes because I don't know what I'm doing in the kitchen and things like that. So the fact that I do that for a living is just, it's passionate for me. I love it. And so I wanted to go over a few things, and I'm going to try not to be too long-winded. I told her that I might not talk enough, but now that I've started, I probably will talk too much. So you cut me off and my time's up.
Oh yeah, I can't. That's why when you said that, I was like, what? I see all the stuff you're putting out. You're so knowledgeable.
I know.
I can give you extra time.
Sometimes I'm so excited that I rush through it. So I'm just going to give you a little Pinterest 101, teaching you the basics for those who aren't, you know, on Pinterest or not using it for business, like what it is. And so anyone who's listened to me talk has heard me say this example a million times, and that Pinterest is a search engine. So it's different than other social media. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you know, all of those are sort of in their own bubble. Pinterest is in a separate bubble, closer to Google. So I always tell people that if Google and Instagram had a baby, that baby would be Pinterest, because it is a visual search engine. So when you think about Pinterest marketing, you have to look at it like you're trying to grow on Google versus trying to grow as social media posts, because social media is just a little bit different. One of the big differences is Pinterest being a search engine. When you go on there, you search for stuff. You don't just go on and mindlessly have stuff thrown at you so much as people are on there searching. And so what you are to the people who find you is like an answer to a problem. You're a solution to something, whether they're looking for recipes or they're looking for a particular product or they're looking for do-it-yourself projects. You're a solution. And so that's one of the powerful things about Pinterest, is that when people find you on there, it's almost like you're getting targeted traffic coming to you because they were looking for you. And then your pin popped up, you know, giving them some kind of answer to their question or a resource or a solution. And so that's one of the greatest things that I love about Pinterest. And also, it differs away from other social media because of how long the posts last on Pinterest. So with other social media, when you post on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, those posts are relevant for 20 minutes to 48 hours. In that time span, you're getting likes, you're getting comments, people are seeing it in their news feed, you're getting leads, you're getting you're getting traffic to your website. But then after that 48-hour mark, it just kind of starts to die out. Like, you need to just keep posting daily, and those posts become literally irrelevant. Like, unless someone has just found you and is scrolling through your Instagram or scrolling through your Facebook to look at those old posts, those social media platforms aren't putting them back up on people's feed. And so Pinterest is different, and that's the awesome thing about Pinterest. When you pin,
can I interrupt? Can I interrupt just for a moment?
Of course, of course.
That is such a key point. When I heard you talk before, that is what the aha moment I got about Pinterest, because I have a Pinterest account. I'm in health and wellness, in nutrition, and I think it's a good Pinterest, a place to be if you, why it would be a good place for me to be on Pinterest, because people are searching for that. Everyone wants a nutritional, a health solution these days.
Yeah.
And, but I started one probably 8 years ago, I would say. How long has Pinterest been around?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Like, I don't even know. It's been around a while. I know that much, but
well, it seems like it's been about 8 years. And so
I just work there.
So I started a Pinterest, and I posted some boards of, healthy information, and I never did anything beyond that. And I hardly checked Pinterest because I got overwhelmed with everything. There were so many great things I could spend all day long in there. So I haven't done anything since, and every now and then I see that someone shared my post, because it was 8 years ago. So, so this is, I don't know if you're going to be talking about evergreen content.
Right, yes.
But this is where evergreen content is so valuable. So go back. Sorry to interrupt, but I just had to throw that in because I thought it was exciting, an exciting thing.
It is. And it is exciting. And this is what I tell people to do with their social media posts. don't waste them, use those posts, repurpose them as a Pinterest pin. And that way it still lives on that 48-hour mark, and it's still generating you traffic. And so, if anything, use Pinterest as your place to post after you're done. Send it to Pinterest and let it start generating that traffic for you, because over time it ages. And you were talking about evergreen content. That's content that's constantly popular. It doesn't end. It's always trending, and Pinterest also loves the seasons. And that's something that I love about Pinterest too, is you can plan your content on there seasonally. And I think social media is the same. And you can use, you can create your content, change the keywords in your Pinterest pin that's relevant to that content, and just be seasonal, and I won't get into that too much, but Pinterest is awesome, and it does take time to build, but those pins last way longer, and that content lasts way longer, and it'll still generate you traffic year after you've pinned it. It'll still be bringing you traffic. So that's just one of my big why you should be on Pinterest things, is that one of the things that I tell people that are starting off on Pinterest, for any of you who aren't on there yet and you're like, well, where do I even begin? So the very first question that I ask my clients is, who is your target audience? Because it's a search engine, you have to think about who is going to find you, and then you have to think about, what are they going to be searching for? Like, what are they going to type in the Pinterest search bar to find you, that when you show up, they're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Think about those keywords that they're searching for on Pinterest, and put those keywords in your profile, put them in your pins, and anytime you pin your content, make sure you have those keywords embedded, because that way, because it's a search engine, it's like Pinterest SEO. You can actually optimize your profile and your content to be optimized to their search engine, so that when people search those keywords, you pop up, okay? And so when you search on Pinterest, you're gonna pop up along with a bunch of other pins. And so this is why I like to talk about branding. That's another thing that I start off right off the bat with my clients. Once we figure out who their target audience is, what keywords we're gonna be using for their account, is branding. So you want to make sure, it's very important to have your pins branded. They need to have similar color palette. If you already have that going on for your website, match your website. That way it's all like, in unison, cohesive. Make sure that you have either your logo or your website. You could do both. You can do one or the other, as long as they're consistent and people keep seeing that. And the reason why is because as people are searching on Pinterest and they keep seeing your pins, and those pins become recognizable, they start to remember you as that person, and so branding is really important. It being a visual search engine, you have to make sure that your pins all look similar. They have to be different, but that they all kind of look similar.
Vanessa, can I add something here, or actually ask a question? What exactly how do you define a pin? I mean, some people who have no idea what Pinterest is probably don't understand even that basic.
Right. Well, a pin is like a post. So while you post on Instagram and Facebook, you pin on Pinterest, is what we call it. Okay. And so for every pin, you're going to have your image, and with that image, you get a title, a description of what the content is that image is linked to, and then it's linked to something, so that every time someone clicks the image, it takes them to your website or the blog post or the product or wherever it's taking you.
That was very helpful. Yeah.
Yes.
So then my other question is that it's in Facebook, Instagram, we learned a lot about how they favor engagers on their platform, and you actually get penalized if you're posting like a website in your description, because they don't want you taking people off their platform. Right. So exactly. It's interesting because this is different, because Pinterest is designed to take everyone off the platform. So
exactly.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny, because I have my Pinterest sales pitch where I'm like, Pinterest is amazing. And I haven't even mentioned that Pinterest being a search engine like Google, they want you to find your answer on Pinterest. They want people to have solutions. So they want you to go to people's websites to learn. And that's funny you mentioned that, because that goes to my next point that I had, which is how much Pinterest values content. They're okay with their pins going to different websites, but what they're not okay with is pins going to websites that have zero content on there. So if you have a pin that says 3 steps to get healthy this spring, and you click that pin and it sends them to a product that has no information, no 3 steps on how to get healthy, and it's just like a salesy page to sell a product, Pinterest isn't like that. They want good, valuable content. They want you to show those 3 steps. They want a blog post. They want a video. They want a podcast with like some show notes going over what it's given you. They want that information because they are a search engine. And so you have to have that content and that value to pin them to. Even if it's products that you're selling on a site, make sure your products are very detailed and make sure that your pin links to that product to where they know. And so, yeah, so Pinterest doesn't mind for you to go outside of Pinterest as long as what you pinned is relevant to that content that you're sending them to.
So posting, if you have just your company website and that's it, it's not going to be Pinterest won't really love that. You want to create your own content via a blog or something else that educates and adds value, not just a site that's like, here, buy my products.
Exactly. And when you start off, you can pin directly to your website. Like I could do a pin that says, Pinterest marketing services, click here to book a session or something like that. And it links them to my website. But I can only do that so many times before I have to start adding those fresh URLs. And that's something else. With the good content that you're giving Pinterest, you have to have fresh URLs. You can't just have one post that talks about this product you're recommending and then just keep sending them to that same post. Pinterest wants fresh content, fresh information, fresh URLs, fresh blog posts, fresh videos, in order to keep their audience happy. People are going to get bored if it's the same thing. And so having that good content is key. So anyone who wants to market on Pinterest, I always tell them right off the bat, if they want to hire me, I will literally be like, don't hire me yet if their website does not have a blog, does not have video log, does not have a podcast, and has no good content in it.
That's great to know. And I love that you do that, because you can only be a successful coach if the tools are there to, coach them to use, right? And
exactly.
So I love that you don't just, take the money and run, that you want them to build that foundation that then you can, help them leverage to, grow.
Right, yes. And I don't ever want to set anyone up for failure. So I always look at their website right off the bat and see what they've got for me to work with. And if it's not good enough, I let them know, we really should work on this part. But another thing about Pinterest that's very interesting is, even though they're a search engine, they're starting to sort of mimic other social media platforms in order to attract the people who love that social media place. And so Pinterest has now carousel pins that are like Instagram carousels, where it's different images in one post. And so it's just like one pin, but it's got the different images and it sends them to one website. They have video pins now. So for the people who want to see video that they really love. And so you can actually create, whether it's an image with little animations on it or an actual video of you doing something, if you're like a do-it-yourself person or you make jewelry and you want to show it off, they love that. And they have story pins now, which is the big exciting thing on Pinterest that Pinterest is really, really pushing. So if you're on there already and you're like wanting to boost your traffic, story pins is the way to go. And that's pretty much just like stories on like reels on Instagram, except Pinterest has them in little pages so that each page shows you sort of like a step. So if it was that pin, 3 ways to get healthy in spring, it would have 3 ways to get healthy in spring, and then page 1, 2, and 3 with each tip. And those you can't link them to a specific post, but Pinterest encourages you to follow that person's account. And so that's literally to build a following, but it's amazing how much traffic the story pins are generating. So I'm
So
definitely recommending it.
I assume that it's just like all the other social media platforms, where if you're an early adopter of a new feature, then they're going to give you more reach.
Yes, yes, and that's a news feature, and they're really encouraging engagement now on Pinterest. Like they're, you know, if you look or if you've been on there in the past few years, getting comments and likes and things like that haven't really been a big thing. You know, you're usually looking at your traffic and your clicks to your website on Pinterest, but now they have a whole section where you can see comments on your pins, comment back, you can like pins, and they're kind of pushing it. Like it's been there, but they haven't really, you know, emphasized it like they're doing now. So they want that engagement on there now.
Well, they're clearly, like every other platform, trying to compete with the other platforms. Now, you know, they
Exactly.
see, and so I am excited that you're updating my knowledge on this, because I didn't know any of that. That's really another great reason to get involved now, because let's say Pinterest has been around for 8 years.
Right.
It's really just emerging in the general user space now, with all these new features that people are used to on other platforms that are more, you know, generally popular. Because
Right.
I think for a long time, I think you said this in the beginning, that Pinterest was more like the people that were do-it-yourselfers. You know, they were project people looking for
Right.
projects and how to do this and that. And now they're moving into more of a business savvy space.
Yes, and it really is. And I think too, you know, believe it or not, with the pandemic happening, and a lot of people have launched online businesses, have figured out a way to work from home, and they're looking for traffic and they're looking for leads. That it's also opened a whole new space for Pinterest, where people are like, oh wow, Pinterest. But it still amazes me how many people don't view Pinterest. They view it as a source to get their own questions answered, but don't think to put themselves in there as someone answering the questions. And this, like, something clicks in their brain, like, oh my gosh, Pinterest, I didn't even think about using it for my business. And it's such a great business move, because, you know, it just quickly starts generating traffic at being a search engine, and it's amazing. I mean, I absolutely love it. And it's so easy to just repurpose your content. You know, some people get so overwhelmed. I'm like, it's so easy to repurpose your content. You just have to make sure that it's sized correctly. And I know you're going to share it with your audience, but I do have a Pinterest pin guide that'll show you what size the pin should be, because that matters, and how to title it, how to do the description, where to add your keywords. And that way you can just, that content that's going to die on your social media platforms after a few days can be put into Pinterest and keep bringing traffic to your website. And so
That's such a valuable tool. Thank you so much for offering that for free. That's awesome. So you will definitely, at the end of this, in this description on this, I'm going to change the description with all of your info. I might actually put it in the, I mean, it doesn't really matter here because you're all coming in actively searching. So I'll put it in the description of this stream so that you'll have everything, the freebie that Vanessa's offering, and you can reach her for support, because she, you know, she's a business like everyone else, and she's someone that has great expertise to help you utilize this more and draw more clients. My dog's scratching on my door, sorry if you hear that. But I wanted to let you know on Facebook, first of all, thank you for those showing up live. Hi, Angela, Jody, Maria, we've got, there are a few more here. Regina, thank you for joining us live. And I wanted to just tell you, there's a couple questions in here. So let me see. Okay. Maria asked a question. Well, she said that, Maria Fontaine says, I use Pinterest occasionally, but I noticed that most of my traffic to my website comes from Pinterest.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. It's so amazing. And you know, I have one of my clients is an Instagram influencer. That's how she has grown her businesses on Instagram. She had a Pinterest account that she just kind of posted on, repurposed some of her content on, didn't know what she was doing, and hired me to take over. And I set up her account. I set up a Google Analytics account for her because she didn't even have a Google Analytics account. And I was like, goodness, you got to see what's driving traffic to your website. And even though her world is Instagram, all her time is spent on Instagram, the #1 traffic bringer for her website was Pinterest, the Pinterest account that she was practically neglecting. And that's because those pins just resurface and people can still
Right.
find you, and it's
Right.
amazing.
So Maria asked, and I actually had the same question, so I'm glad she asked it. Can Vanessa give an example of a good website with the video and the blog? So basically, how do we start a blog? What do you recommend for the app we use, or how people are doing it today? Because we need to start
Well,
that before we can hire you.
well, starting a blog is a lot of work, but I have a bunch of resources on my website for how to start a blog. There's even a free course. It's not by me. It's by Susie at Start a Mom Blog. She teaches. That's how I started. She teaches people how to start a blog. She even teaches a little Pinterest marketing on there. But it is on my site. I can give you the link if you want afterwards to get on there to a free course. But essentially, what most website platforms should have a section for the blog, but what you're going to want to do is to start writing. I mean, it's really just writing. And so they tell you for Google SEO that you want your blog post to be like 2,000 words. No, a lot of people can't get to 2,000 words, and there's a lot of people that are like, it's kind of like a battle. Like, do we really need to write that long? And so what I tell people is to try to keep it at 1,500. If you're under, that's okay. If you're over, that's okay. 1,000's good. 800 is not horrible, but just start writing and posting those posts. There's a lot to it. Like, there's a lot of SEO and a bunch of blog lingo that I won't get into, but just writing and putting it in there is good. If you have videos, you could very easily embed those videos inside the blog post in your website, and then just write sort of like a paragraph that kind of goes over what you discuss in the video, kind of like a summary of it. And that's content right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered her question at
No, that
all.
was very helpful. So you're going to provide a resource, thank you, to someone who helps people start blogs. So I'm sure that'll be chock full of great information.
Yes.
And then a lot of it's interesting because blog seems so challenging, like the thought, oh my gosh, that's like a mountain I've got to climb to figure out what I'm going to say, how I'm going to put it on, paper per se.
Right.
Yet we're always talking and sharing our ideas. And I know,
Right.
like in Zoom, I believe, I haven't used it yet. And I keep saying I'm going to go in and figure out how to do it. There's a feature that I think you have to purchase that transcribes everything you say in a Zoom presentation.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
And so what you could do, like gosh, if I'd been doing it for the last 10 years, I would have a library of content that I could just pick out, edit a little bit, and put into a blog. So that just makes
Exactly.
me feel I better start that today. But because I'm always sharing information and my thoughts, and all of you are. So that's in fact, on Clubhouse, think about how much value is being added. Like it's basically verbal blogging. It's like
Yes,
an interactive podcast. But
it
but
is.
all of that we're verbalizing, it's the same thing. We just have to put it on paper, or
Exactly.
paper. Put it on, how do you say, computer media,
Right,
digital.
right. And it's really simple for those who get overwhelmed. Like, just it's still repurposing your content. So if you have YouTube videos or reels where you showed or taught something, it's just kind of typing up what you discussed so just getting started and getting that content out there. But yeah, I've got some resources on doing that. I can help people do that myself. Start a little blog on your site. But otherwise, there's that resource that I send people to if they want to do it themselves.
Cool. So let's see. Angela said, "Oh my gosh, people from Pinterest look for you in your Instagram. This is good." So I think the main benefit here is that people are actually searching for what you have, and
Right.
it's very just it's customary in the Pinterest world that you're looking for what you want, and then you purposefully go find where to get it, which is your blog, your website. And
Right.
it's not so much that way in Facebook and Instagram, because first of all, we're being encouraged to kind of hide our websites and other things that we could send them to. So it really
Right.
there takes a little bit longer, because we're connecting with people based on what we hear. If we resonate with somebody, then establishing relationship, in private message. And it just takes a little bit longer, where there, then you say, well, here's my website. Here, it's just like,
Right.
okay, what do I need? I need your product. I need what Angela's offering. Let me see where I go to get that.
Right, exactly. And it's just a powerful thing. And I think, and this is something that I talk a lot about in my rooms on Clubhouse when I'm talking, is there's a lot of psychology to making sales. And, like way back then in the marketing world, people would cold message and just like be in your face, spamming business posts over and over and over again. And people could tell you're trying to sell them something. And when people know that you're trying to sell them something, it kind of pushes them away. Like they're like, even if they're interested, they're like, oh gosh, please quit trying to sell me anything. However, when it comes to like the blog or the video or the content that you have, you're now offering them something for free. Okay. You're offering them value, you're offering them content. And so on Pinterest, they find you because they're looking for something and you're giving them the answer on a silver platter. And so they appreciate you for it. And they have come to you. You haven't come to them. They have come to you. And that changes their mindset, because you didn't spam them and try to sell them something like an ad in their face. They came to you for knowledge, and you're there as the helpful person. And while they're in there is when they start to look around and say, what does she have to offer? And then can end up buying from you because their mindset is different. It's a different mindset. Oh, I can't hear you for some reason.
Well, that would be because I didn't unmute. So Nyla's watching. Hi, Nyla. Thanks for joining us live. She said, this is good. I've always wondered about Pinterest. And so very happy to have this information. Someone else said, you have such an awesome personality and they can tell how much you love Pinterest. So I said, well, you got to follow her Instagram, because she's I think you are just adorable. You've got a great sense of humor and you educate in your Instagram. So follow Network Nessi. I think that's your Instagram.
Yes, it's at right? Network Nessi. I was just telling you how I don't ever talk about my website, but it's networknessi.com, just in case.
Yeah, and on Instagram, you'll get some great gems and continue to be connected with Vanessa. And Jody Moncrief says, great information, Vanessa Cooper. Thank you so much. So is there anything else? We're at the half-hour mark. Any other top tip, any gem that you can leave with our audience today?
Yes, and this is good advice for any marketing platform, but it's very solid on Pinterest. That when you start your Pinterest marketing journey, I'm going to give you a couple things. One, be patient. It is a search engine. And just like if you've ever tried to rank on Google, it takes forever. Pinterest, at least 3 months. Let those pins start to gain traffic and be patient. It's a long-term investment. So it takes a little time to really start getting that traction. If you stick to it and you stay consistent, you'll start getting a good ton of traffic to your website. And secondly, and this is the tip for all marketing platforms, is make sure you pay attention to the different types of pins and what is working with your audience. So if you have a blog post and you're going to pin to it, do a static pin, a video pin, the carousel one maybe, and a story pin. Try all the different ones. See what's performing the best for you, for your audience, and then roll with it. And I think that's it.
Get myself off of mute here again. Well, this was really valuable. And I just want to say, on behalf of all of the savvy social media peeps here, that now, after you've been 15 days in this training, you are savvy. On behalf of all of us, just thank you so much for adding these gems of wisdom. I feel grateful that I met you. I always feel like there's a purpose in everything. So I feel like you were among the people that I was supposed to meet. And now you're here meeting all the people in this community. And we'll do this again. Hopefully you'll want to come back the next time we do our social media 101, raise your vibe, raise your value. So tell us, before you go, how do people work with you? How does that work?
Well, they just reach out to me. Usually I'll schedule a call to look at their business, talk about what their website may need, or if it's perfect, I just tell them how great it is, and then come up with a plan for their business for Pinterest. I do offer different packages, but I also offer customized packages. But I do Pinterest management, where I can manage your Pinterest account. I can start it for you. I can do it all. Or I can teach you how to manage your own Pinterest account. I love to teach. And so I can literally just sit with you, do one-on-one sessions just like this, where I'm showing you exactly what you need to do to thrive on Pinterest. And I offer a bunch of other stuff as well. But those are my two main things, is training and then actually hands-on managing your account for you, so you don't even have to worry about it.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. I would love that. Okay, so we will again post all of the information on how you can reach Vanessa. I'm really excited about this new knowledge and all the upgrades that I didn't even know were happening in Pinterest. And I'm just, again, thank you so much. And what you all think? Let us know. So a lot of you are still watching. A lot of you are very happy that you have this new knowledge. Love to hear any takeaways, any ahas you got out of this. Any other questions, we can always reach out and I can get those answers from Vanessa for you. And do follow her on Network Nessi on her social medias. And I will see you again soon. I'm sure I'll hear you on Clubhouse tomorrow.
yeah, actually on Friday I'll be talking on there. Too early, I'm sure, too early.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Where exactly are you? I know you're what, 3 hours ahead?
I'm in South Carolina, so
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't raised here, so I don't have a Southern accent, I don't think. But
so yeah, most of us are in Southern California, so we're complete opposite ends of the country, which is the other beauty of Zoom and Clubhouse and all of this connecting virtually. And Vanessa, I also have the HeartLink Network community you did attend once, and I know you're flooded because of your Clubhouse connections. You've got so many people that you're interacting with, but you're always welcome. I'd love to offer you the next meeting that you want to come to for free as a thank you for giving us this today. And I'm going to get to go to South Carolina. My son, who's a senior in high school, he's signed himself up for the Army, and he's going to be going to basic training in South Carolina.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's exciting.
I'm hoping I get to go see it, because I've heard so many great things about that beautiful place. So, okay, well, have a great day. Thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Bye.